The unexpected kindness. The evening bus rumbled through the city streets, its warm yellow lights casting a gentle glow over the tired passengers. Sarah Chen shifted her sleeping 2-year-old son, Tommy, in her arms as she searched for an empty seat. Her shoulders ached from the double shift at the diner, and her feet throbbed in her worn sneakers. The weight of exhaustion pressed down on her like a heavy blanket. Finally spotting 2 empty seats near the back, Sarah made her way down the aisle. The bus swayed gently as it turned a corner, and she steadied herself against the seat backs. Tommy stirred slightly but remained asleep, his small fist curled around a corner of his favorite blue blanket. As Sarah settled into the window seat, she noticed the man sitting across the aisle. He wore an expensive navy suit that looked like it cost more than she made in a month. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and even in the dim bus lighting, she could see the quality of his leather shoes. He was typing on his phone with focused concentration, probably handling some important business deal. Sarah looked down at her own reflection in the window. Her uniform still smelled faintly of coffee and bacon grease. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she could see the tiredness written across her face. She felt a familiar pang of self-consciousness. This was her world now, late buses, double shifts, and counting every dollar. The bus hit a pothole, jostling the passengers. Tommy whimpered softly, and Sarah gently rubbed his back, whispering quiet reassurances. She closed her eyes for just a moment, trying to summon the energy for the rest of the evening. There would be laundry to fold when they got home, bills to sort through, and hopefully a few quiet minutes to herself before bed. As the bus continued its steady journey through the city, Sarah found her eyelids growing heavy. The rhythmic rumble of the engine was surprisingly soothing, like a mechanical lullaby. She told herself she would just rest her eyes for a minute. Just a minute. The warmth of the bus and the gentle swaying motion worked like a sedative. Sarah's head began to nod, and despite her best efforts to stay alert, sleep slowly claimed her. Her head tilted to the side, finding an unexpected resting place on something solid and warm. In her exhausted state, Sarah didn't realize that her head had come to rest on the shoulder of the well-dressed man beside her. The man, whose name was Marcus Thompson, had moved to the seat next to her when he noticed her struggling to balance her sleeping child while fighting her own fatigue. Marcus had been on his way home from another 16-hour day at his investment firm. As the CEO of Thompson & Associates, he was used to long hours and high-pressure decisions. But something about the young mother's quiet struggle had stirred something in him. He recognized the bone-deep exhaustion in her face, the careful way she held her child, the worn edges of her clothing that spoke of financial strain. When Sarah's head had gently settled against his shoulder, Marcus had tensed for a moment. His first instinct was to wake her, to politely reclaim his personal space. But then he saw the dark circles under her eyes, the way her son slept so peacefully in her arms, and something made him pause. Instead of waking her, Marcus carefully adjusted his position to make her more comfortable. He set aside his phone and sat very still, not wanting to disturb her rest. Through the bus window, he watched the city lights blur past, thinking about his own journey from a struggling single-parent household to where he was now. 20 minutes passed. The bus made its stops, passengers got on and off, but Marcus remained motionless. He found himself studying the woman beside him, the calluses on her hands that spoke of hard work, the careful way she held her child even in sleep, the small mended tear in her uniform that had been sewn with precise, caring stitches. When the bus finally reached Sarah's stop, Marcus gently touched her arm. "Excuse me," he said softly. "I think this might be your stop." Sarah's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment, she was disoriented. Then awareness crashed over her like a cold wave. She had been sleeping on a stranger's shoulder, not just any stranger, but this obviously successful businessman in his expensive suit. "Oh my goodness," she whispered, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I must have." She started to gather her things quickly, trying to wake Tommy as gently as possible. "Please, don't apologize," Marcus said, his voice kind. "You were exhausted. We all need rest." Sarah stood up, bouncing Tommy slightly to keep him calm as he began to wake. "Thank you for not. I mean, you could have." She trailed off, not sure how to express her gratitude for his simple act of letting her sleep. As they reached the front of the bus, Marcus did something that surprised them both. "Excuse me," he said to Sarah. "I know this might sound strange, but I run a company that's always looking for reliable, hardworking people." If you're interested in something with better hours and benefits, here's my card. Sarah stared at the business card he held out to her. Marcus Thompson, CEO, Thompson and Associates. Her hands shook slightly as she took it. I don't understand, she said quietly. Marcus smiled, and for the first time, he looked less like an intimidating businessman and more like a regular person. Sometimes the best employees are the ones who show character in small moments. The way you care for your son, your work ethic, it shows. If you're interested, call the number. We have positions in our administrative department that offer good pay, health insurance, and reasonable hours. The bus had stopped, and other passengers were waiting to get off. Sarah looked at the card again, then at Marcus. Why? She asked simply. Because everyone deserves a chance, he replied. And because kindness should be rewarded, even when someone thinks no one is watching. As Sarah stepped off the bus with Tommy in her arms, she turned back to see Marcus still standing at the bus door. Thank you, she called out, her voice thick with emotion she couldn't quite name. Marcus nodded as the bus doors closed. Through the window, Sarah watched him return to his seat as the bus pulled away into the night. Standing at her bus stop, Sarah looked down at the business card in her hand, then at Tommy, who was now fully awake and looking around with curious eyes. For the first time in months, she felt something that had been missing from her life, hope. The unexpected kindness of a stranger on a bus had opened a door she never knew existed. As she walked the final few blocks home, Sarah found herself thinking not about the bills on her kitchen table or the long day behind her, but about the possibility that tomorrow might bring something better. Sometimes, she thought, the most important journeys happen when we're not even trying to go anywhere at all.